Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers Beat. I'm Gene Lantz. The number to call is 972-647-1893. That screeching sound you heard was the brakes of Bonnie
squealing to a stop
as she rushed in here. A couple of things that are coming up that you must go to. One is the wake for T.C. Gillespie in Fort Worth today at the 6201 CWA Hall. That's at 421 South Adams, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's at 2 o'clock. We'll be remembering T.C. Gillespie, who just died. He was the head of the AFL-CIO in Tarrant County. You know, they say that people can live forever, and we know that in a certain case of labor leaders, they certainly live as long as we remember them.
That's
because,
right.
Because of the good things that they pile of goodness for the people of the world, and labor leaders and labor rank and filers are contributing to that. So in that sense, they certainly do live a long, long time. On April the 16th at 9 a.m., the City Hall meeting will discuss privatizing Dallas Independent School District. Everybody's supposed to come to City Hall. Now, Bonnie, do you have to get there at 9 to sign up, or do you have to get there before 9 to sign up?
You actually have to sign up the day before.
You have to sign up the day before,
right,
if you want to
5.
speak. But anyway, they want you there on Wednesday at 9 a.m., City Hall meeting, April the 16th.
That's the regular council meeting.
Yeah, it's the regular council meeting, but they're going to take up DISD. And don't forget, it's the mayor who's fronting the whole thing. So tell Mayor Rawlings what you think on April the 16th. Also on April the 16th at 1 p.m. Now, this is Bonnie's big thing. So, Bonnie, you want to tell them what's going on?
Yes.
1 p.m. on Wednesday.
1 o'clock, Wednesday afternoon on Jackson Street, directly behind AT&T 1, which is Whitaker Tower. That is the AT&T Worldwide headquarters. We will have a retiree healthcare rally. AT&T informed our retirees earlier this year that come 2015, they're pretty much on their own. They will have to get their health care from the marketplace. So it's pretty ugly.
So they're going to cut the health care for retirees.
Yep.
This is going on everywhere, but
That's right.
A few people have the ability to fight back, and we should join in where we can.
And we're also rallying for safety on the job. It kind of all goes together. These folks that worked and built the company were required healthy, safe working environments, as do our people today. We lost a technician about 3 weeks ago because she had worked a 17-hour day and she fell asleep on the way home and died. So
Fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, fell asleep at the wheel on the way home. So we will be not only rallying for retiree health care, we will be rallying for the living as well.
So this is a chance to fight back against the erosion of the right to retire in America, which is eroding fast, brothers and sisters. It's not erode. That's not really fair to say that it's eroding. What's happening is it's being stolen.
Yeah.
It's being robbed. So if you want to fight back against the robbery and the extortion of the bosses, 1 p.m. April 16th at the AT&T headquarters. I guess it's behind it.
Yes, we're on Jackson Street.
It's almost even with the public library.
Yep.
If you were at the Dallas Public Library and you went back towards the center of town a couple of blocks, you'd be there.
And if you want to, we will be running shuttles from the Union Hall at 1408 North Washington. If you would like to come there and park, we will have shuttles going downtown. We have confirmed 12 buses coming from all over District 6, which is Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, and Texas.
And we know that the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans is certainly behind you.
That's right.
Now, let's talk, though, about women's rights and the big disparity in the way women get paid. The fact is that women don't get paid nearly as much as men, still haven't. And you got an old newspaper?
This is, I found a newspaper at the Union Hall. It's a CWA News from October of 1964. Equal pay for equal work.
Yeah, which is something you have. We
have that now.
The members of the CWA, Communication Workers of America, actually have that.
Right, we do.
But everybody else doesn't.
That's right. It's amazing because it talks about third class and fifth class employees. And this one little city, they had a big sign erected that said, "Come again to this fifth class Southwestern Bell telephone town. Population 9,999 first class citizens, plus 12 fifth class Southwestern Bell employees."
Okay, let's consult with someone who knows more about it than I do. Shelby Schramm. Good morning, Shelby. Thanks for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're a student activist and something of a feminist, right?
Yes, definitely. I go to school at UT Dallas, active in a student organization for Students for a Democratic Society, as well as a pro-choice feminist alliance on campus.
What do they think about the disparity in women's pay?
It's disgusting. Especially if you look at households, it's half of the household, and most households have both people working in them today, if not only having one working parent, if they're a single parent. And
women should actually make more than men because they end up taking care of the kids after the man leaves.
And statistically, women control most of the funds in the household anyway. So it makes sense to have equal pay, period, for anyone.
and yet they don't. Do you have any idea just what the pay gap is? How much difference there is between men and women doing the same job?
What we've got statistically is 77 cents for white women, 64 cents for Latino women, and 69 cents for black women, and I believe it is 83 cents for Asian American women.
So that's 69 cents
for every white male dollar.
Yeah, for a white male doing the exact same job.
Exactly.
Same experience and all that.
Yeah, and if you look at it, it is black men making the same as white women as well. So you're looking at racial disparities within that as well, which is really important if you're talking about family context.
Yeah.
So,
and don't you love how the right has been spinning this? Women don't need to make more money than men. They need to be home, taking care of the children and cooking and cleaning and.
Why shouldn't they get paid for that?
I know. I'm like, okay, they're working probably twice as hard as you are.
And that they need to stay home is just it is not possible in
not
today's
in
work. Yeah, not today. You can't stay home, other than the few privileged ones.
Right.
So it's just a complete farce and really illogical.
Yeah, illogical. It's immoral.
But it's been going on for a long time. It's pretty much always been that way in America, has it not?
True.
That's not an excuse. I'm not trying to make excuses for it. But the fact is that women have fought their way up to some extent, because I remember when I first began hearing about this in the 60s, it was 59 cents, that women were made 59 cents for every dollar that a man made in a comparable position and comparable experience and that sort of thing. So now it's a little bit up from there, and you're saying African American women get 69 cents for the dollar that the white man makes,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and there was an attempt to do something about this, a very good attempt. It started with President Obama. It got into the U.S. Senate. One of the things that they've tried to do is make it legal to find out how much other people are making, because the bosses don't want you to know that. When they hire you, they tell you, don't talk about your salary.
That's right.
Never talk about your salary, and they imply that they will fire you if you do. So they were trying to pass a law that said it's okay to talk about your salary and to ask other people what their salary is.
Yeah.
And Senate Republicans blocked the bill that would have provided protection from retaliation for workers who inquire about pay levels at a company, and that came from the New York Times. So even asking someone else, even finding out how bad you're getting screwed, you can still be retaliated against for that. There's no law protecting you on that,
Unless, of course, you have a collective bargaining agreement.
And if you have a collective bargaining agreement, then you find out
welcome
because
to
they
Texas.
publish it.
That's right.
You most
right?
likely don't. So.
Right. That's true. That's true.
People who are in unions don't realize that other people don't get a copy of what everybody is making.
That's right.
Like in my union, every 3 months they come out with a card. It's got a list of exactly how much everybody else is making and how much you're making. So, but they don't get that out when they don't have a collective bargaining agreement.
And I mean, you look at it, period, for the labor market. You're not told that that's what happens in unions. You're not told about anything to do with unions. So,
true.
Anything to do with that is just completely lost.
So you can't even find out how bad you're being screwed.
That's so terrible.
Yeah, well, we need to point these things out, and you need to get in on the discussion. 972-647-1893. KNON actually likes it when you call, so call us at 972-647-1893. The more, the better. The more it's going to be, the better we're going to like it. So this is a big issue in the Texas elections, right, Shelby?
I'd definitely say so. I mean, you're talking about half of your population, and statistically, women vote more, because they control household finances and things like that, construed to
women are better
economics,
voters.
So, and more like.
So certainly in the governor's race, they've gone back and forth, accusing each other. Governor's candidate Wendy Davis says that her opponent, Attorney General Greg Abbott, that in his own staff that there's pay disparities between the men and women, unexplained pay disparities that aren't explained by anything except just this bias against women. And the
men make more than women in his administration.
And there was a bill. Well, there's a national bill called the Lilly Ledbetter Act, and then they tried to get one passed in Texas.
Right.
And Senator Davis supported it. And the governor vetoed it, as I understand it.
Yeah.
Governor Perry vetoed it. And Attorney General Greg Abbott has said that he supported that too, and he would have vetoed it as well.
The South will rise again. That's all I keep hearing in my voice, I swear. The voice is in my head.
Imani's on the line. Let's see what Imani has to say about this. Good morning. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning, Gene and Bonnie.
Good morning, sweetie.
How you doing? And the young lady.
Oh, hi. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to let you know something. I'm studying state government right now at Mountain View College.
Okay.
The key to the whole thing. I'm not talking to black people this morning. I'm talking to the poor. Period. We have got to let that. When Washington D.C. in '94, we talked about Willie Lynch. And how they divided and conquered us and indoctrinated us. Now they're doing it in race. They're doing it with the racial issue. It's not race anymore. It's about the 1% controlling everything, your whole life. And we, as a poor people, we hold these truths, we self-evidence that all men are created equally.
That's right.
We have to come together as poor people and not as black people, white people, green people. We have to come. I'm not going to say green people. There ain't no green people. And illegal aliens. All this old mess. They use words to fool us. And I'm almost through with this. I got a test next week. And I took this state. I wanted to find out how this government works. It's the 1% that over the everything is trying to take over all of us. They don't care what color you are. So I'll be Bonnie, you might see me at the rally this week. Give that information out again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks so much, Imani. Go ahead, Bonnie.
Okay, the rally is Wednesday, April 16th, and it is 208 South Ackerd, which is the AT&T worldwide headquarters. The front of it is on Commerce Street. You can't miss it. It's got a big AT&T store in it. We will be directly behind it on Jackson Street. We will have chairs. You can go to the Union Hall and park. We will shuttle you. Starting at 12:15, we'll start shuttles downtown. We will have the street. Right now, half of the street is going to be blocked off. Judging from the number of people that we're going to have, I'm assuming that the entire street will end up being closed, which is so exciting. But that's 1 o'clock. Come to the Union Hall, 1408 North Washington. Come there by 12:15. We'll get you a ride downtown and rally for retiree health care.
I'm supposed to be one of the speakers.
Are you? Cool.
I was asked by Ray Kramer of CWA 6201. I think he's one of the organizers.
Yeah, he's the president of the Retired Members Council.
I just realized when I announced that, probably hundreds of people said, "Well, I ain't going then."
That's not
If Gene
true.
Lantz is going, I promise not that I will not speak very long. I'm not an important speaker at this. I'm just going to make an appearance and let them know that the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans is definitely for them. We're going to get back to the question, though, of pay equity for women, because it's very, very important in the coming elections. A lot of retirees, by the way, we were talking about retiree benefits. A lot of retirees are women.
Oh,
A
yeah.
tremendous number of them, and a lot of widows of retirees
Oh, yeah.
are still in the retiree movement. So seniors need to get out and fight for their benefits if they expect to have the right to retire for their own kids and for their grandkids. They're going to have to fight for it. I know we fought for it before. We fought for it and won it, and so people thought that it was like gold, that you had the right to retire. But not in America.
Nope.
Not in America today. They are doing everything they can to take away the right to retire.
And if the 99% vote, the 1% won't matter.
So
Period.
We'll be able to stop them.
That's right.
ALEC and the people who are running this country need to be put back in their place, and it's going to take a lot of people to do that.
Yes.
On pay equity, there's a woman named Libby Willis who wrote the bill, I understand, for equal pay in Texas. Is that right, Shelby?
I do not know, but
Libby Willis is running for.
Libby
she's
Willis,
running
got
for office over in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And her opponent, someone named Connie Burton, said that the equal pay legislation was not a serious issue. She said, "quote, it's not serious."
It's not serious.
Uh-huh.
I guess it's not serious because she's probably not affected. What do you think?
It's not serious to her because
No,
she's
that's
got plenty
exactly
of money,
right.
I
Yeah.
guess.
It's not serious.
This is an issue over in Fort Worth in District 10, and it's an issue in the governor's race, and so it's an issue all over. The Democrats are pretty much riding on this because they've got two women running for top offices, and they are both very heavily into this business of pay equity for women. There goes the music. We have to take a short break. We'll be right back to talk more about the pay gap for women. But Saturday morning, we love that. 972-647-1893. I'm talking with Shelby Schramm about pay equity for women. You were aware then that there's a big issue in this year's elections, and that the real question for the Democrats this year is whether or not women will come out and vote.
True. Especially with the veto of the bill, one of the main arguments that was written in the bill is that if it's drafted at the state level, people can spend less time to go to a to a federal court and go to a state court. Instead, spend less money and things like that. If that's not an issue regarding pay equity as well, if you have to take the time off of work and you have to find daycare for your children or anything like that too. So it just makes sense for it to be in the state, and so.
I remember very well in my own mother's case, the best job she ever got was as a cleaning lady in an office building, and she came in at night and did all of the cleaning. But she wasn't the janitor. The janitor was a man who was there more or less during the daytime, and all he did was just clean up messes that people made during the day. He didn't actually clean the offices and everything. He made $100 a month more than she did, and I remember that. I was a little boy. I was 10, and I went in with Mother to help clean the offices, and I remember very clearly that he got $100 more than she did, and I asked her why, and she said, "Well, he's a man." And that was the end of that. The guy didn't even work compared to her.
Yeah. And I mean, even today, like with undocumented workers, women as domestic workers, there's a huge movement around in the borderlands and in San Antonio and stuff like that, surrounding domestic workers that are fighting up for their rights, especially if you're talking about human trafficking as well for these jobs.
Oh, yeah.
So it goes all the way down to slavery.
Yes.
and a lot of women are actually in slavery.
Exactly.
Not all women slaves are sex slaves.
That's right.
No.
A lot of them are domestic workers.
Yeah.
People-
Especially
people-
from other countries, because like we've forced them to come to the United States on their economies.
People bring them in from other countries, and then they tell them, "You're going to do exactly what I say, and I'm not going to pay you, and your reward is that I'm not going to turn you into la migra."
Exactly.
right.
And it's literally they have to escape from these situations.
Yeah.
So we have slavery right here in the United States
Absolutely.
among domestic workers, and they're women.
Yep.
So we have pay equity all the way down to pay inequity all the way down to the point of being women. Here's what Ed Sills said about that comment about the issue not being serious. He says, "Tell that to women who find out, often years later, that a company is paying them so much less than their male counterparts doing the same job that will amount to 6 figures over the course of a career. What could be more serious in the world of work than the basic trust that an employer is treating you fairly?"
Basic trust. Where's
Well-
that in today's workforce? I mean, I'm a union officer, and I don't see a lot of trust in the workplace. I mean, it's because
They're
there's
out to
things
get
like
you.
this. They're out to get you because you're nothing more than a number.
Yeah,
You're not a
you heard
person
it first
anymore.
on KNO, and we're spreading paranoia throughout the United States. But the truth is, it's not paranoia
No,
if they
it's the
really
truth.
are out to get you. If they really are out to get you, and women, they really are out to get you. They intend nothing less than to go right on paying a lot less to women than to men for the exact same job and the exact same amount of qualifications and that sort of thing. 972-647-1893. If you think this is important, or if you got something you want to talk about, call us at 972-647-1893. Here's what Democrat Libby Willis said. "It is unconscionable that a woman must work a full 13 extra weeks in order to be paid as much as a man doing the same job. Whether we are working in an office, a factory, or a restaurant, working women are still not receiving equal pay." And that's the way it is. It's gotten better than it was,
Yeah.
but
But
But because
But
of
that's
like
because-
laws being enacted, and if people aren't enacting these laws,
don't you love it? We're fighting for the same damn thing in 2014 that we were fighting for in 1964. That the Civil Rights Act was supposed to make a lot of this stuff a thing of the past.
I think what the turning point was the Equal Rights Amendment. I marched for the Equal Rights Amendment. I marched with Bella Abzug. You remember Bella
Wow,
Abzug?
really?
Yeah. Joshua's online.
All right.
Okay, Joshua, come on, tell us what's up. Thanks for calling KNON.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I wanted to point out another area in which the deck is stacked against women workers. This is something in my family we've experienced recently, and that's in the area of maternity leave. Leave for women who want to have a family, either through adoption or through childbirth. And one of the things we found, we lived in Europe for years, and there, even the fathers of children had a kind of leave, family leave, that was
Paternity.
paid.
That's right.
But what we're finding here is women who give birth, at least in our situation, you're expected to use your sick leave. So
Oh my
childbirth
gosh.
is being considered, gets classified
As
a
an
kind of
illness.
sick leave.
That's
Yeah,
right.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another area in which, in the United States, conditions could improve greatly for women in that having a child having a child sets them back.
Yep.
Right? It's another area where there's really not a kind of equality.
Yeah, the men have all the fun, and then the women have to pay for it in the workplace, because if they do take off time for maternity purposes, they're likely to lose their job. And even if they don't lose their job, they're likely to get a setback in terms of promotions and that sort of thing.
Right, and even past that, like once you need to look for childcare, if you can't afford it, that's when people choose to stay home because it doesn't financially fit their needs to put their child in childcare and work.
Exactly.
They would rather just stay home and let one person work, and because they're putting that much money into childcare.
Joshua says it's a lot better in Europe. Joshua, do you have any idea why it's better in Europe?
Well, yeah, I do. I think a big part of that is that unions are stronger, right?
Yep.
The labor movement in general is stronger, and I think workers there are able to negotiate better terms than in the United States.
Because they have more members, they have more power. I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
Actually, I've read that in France they don't actually have more members than we do here as a percentage, but they're more political. The unions are much more political and have a lot stronger clout. A lot of American union members think that they don't have any business in politics. In fact, a lot of them want the union to get out of politics.
That's right. That's right.
They say politics is that the union is like church. You know, it has no business in politics.
Well, church is all up in it, folks. So
Right.
it's time for us to go ahead and get up in it too.
Yeah. So
Hey, folks, I'm enjoying the conversation. I gotta get. So
Okay.
take care. All right.
Thank you, Joshua. Have a great day.
So, you too. Bye bye.
Joshua lives somewhere west of here. I was going to ask him if he was going to go to see the wake for T.C. Gillespie. There will be a lot of union people there.
There will.
At 2:00 at the CWA Hall in Fort Worth, because T.C. Gillespie was very well known and loved throughout the labor movement. Anyway, on pay equity for women, we're here with Shelby Schramm. Has this affected you personally, Shelby? Has it hit you in a personal way yet?
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, like
Because they won't let you find
right,
out.
they don't let you know, right? So, but I mean, just like the business that I was in before, there were not very many male workers anyway. So, but I mean, even on that like level, not knowing your coworkers' pay and like, you know, trying to help them out and stuff like that, and you know, trying to discuss these things with them, and they're like, no, we can't talk about this.
that.
But
Get away from me.
like not like personally that I know of, but I mean like for me personally. But you know, obviously for other factions of my family, I'm sure it's happened like across
Sure.
the board.
The problem is that people have accepted it.
Right.
People have
right.
just said, well, women really are inferior, so, you know, they deserve less pay. They deserve inferior pay.
Right.
I think fewer women feel that way now, and Shelby Schramm, of course, is one of them.
I hope so.
How did you come to this? I mean, as a young woman, obviously you weren't around when Bella Abzug and I were marching for the Equal Rights Amendment back in the 70s. But how did it come to you to be a feminist and to stand up for women?
Well, it's just always been a part of my family's history. So,
So your mom was a strong person.
no, it's my dad's side of the family.
Oh, really?
My grandmother and my great aunt on that side of the family are very politically active, and it's just always been in my family. You talk about politics where families don't, other families don't. It's just that's what we talk about. We talk about everything.
Were they
So-
around here or
No,
are you
upstate New York.
Of course.
I was
Yeah.
going to say she must be some kind of Yankee.
She's got to be a Yankee because, you know, we don't.
So women ain't allowed to talk like that, right?
Oh, but I was born and raised here, so I had to like
Good for you.
like translate that yeah, you know, around Texas. And I mean, you know, and for the longest time I was hell bent on getting out of Texas. I'm leaving Texas. I'm not going to stay here. But I mean, it's so horrible here, and they need my help because
They
you
need
know,
you.
I
Yes, we do.
understand what it's like to live here, and you can't import other people from out to make it work here. It
Che
doesn't work
Guevara
that
said,
way.
I envy you in Texas. I'm paraphrasing. He said, I envy you in Texas, for you live in the belly of the beast.
Yep.
So if you were able to get pay equity for women in Texas, it would probably be like that everywhere.
Oh yeah, like I mean, what was it? Oh, like our unemployment is like number 17 out of like what they constitute as 51 because they count DC, right? But like we're third to the last on you know, like poverty.
Yeah.
Like what does that mean? Like that, yeah, people have a lot of jobs, but they're poverty or
They're
below.
crap jobs.
Yeah, they have a lot of jobs. They have 2 or 3
Exactly.
of them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have a lot of jobs here, and like we don't have a lot of unemployment, but like they're getting paid under poverty level.
Yeah, I want to make this point about unemployment. Texas had full unemployment up to 1865. Everybody that wanted a job, and a lot of people who didn't want a job, had to work up to 1865 when they ended slavery.
Right.
Before that, they had full employment, completely full employment in Texas up until 1865. So full employment or having a lot of jobs is not something to brag about if those jobs are slavery.
Right.
If those jobs are poverty wages, like if all you can get is working at Walmart,
Yeah.
then that's nothing to brag about.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, there was just a KERA article that came out talking about renting an apartment in North Texas, and it requires you to have $17 to $18 an hour for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yep.
And obviously, if you're making $7.25, you're not even close. You need another $10 on top of that. So you're looking at, 93 hours a week, right, for that? It doesn't make any sense.
No, because it would, and it's like what you were talking about. Okay, I'm a single mom. I got 2 kids. You're going to pay me $7.25 an hour for 40 hours a week.
If 40 hours a week.
If you give me 40 hours a week, but that's not enough for me to pay rent and put my kids in daycare.
Or if my kid gets sick, it's sick leave, like I have to take off work and I don't get that pay because it's our pay.
Right.
Anything like that. It's
You get even
really
less.
disgusting.
What's it going to take to turn the situation around, Shelby?
We need people to talk about it. We need people to demand from the government that they
Is it people?
pay
Is it all
raise.
people or is it women?
Everybody. I
It's
mean,
everybody.
women are part of your families. Like, if you don't think that it's everyone's job to do this.
Because I was just noting, we've only had 2 calls on this subject today, and they were both men. 972-647-1893. I'm wondering if it's not true that the women have been cowered into submission. And we were talking about women being impoverished in Texas, and that good jobs are that bad jobs in Texas are not something to brag about. Woody Sixel of the Houston Chronicle reports that in Texas, women are much more likely to be making the minimum wage than men. They'll be making the lowest wage. And she says overall, Texas has the 5th highest percentage of minimum wage workers among the states. Wow. So we have more minimum wage workers than all but 5 states, than all but 4 states.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's a terrible thing.
Boy, that'll make you proud.
Yeah, and I mean, it just connects back to like the right to work situation.
That's right.
And especially that they're trying to draft that in other states that have traditionally not done that. It's scary thinking about it because,
Well, all right, it is scary. But let me ask you this. Is it going to get better? Do you think, you said a while ago that people are going to have to rally, and I added that I think women are going to have to rally, but is it going to happen? Are people going to rally? And are they going to stand up and fight? And are they going to win eventually? That's what I want to know. What's a young person think about that?
I mean, for me, I am like very radical, in my activism. So it's like, for me, it's been a long time coming that it already needed to have been happening, so that it's not.
So you're disappointed that it hasn't happened
Right,
yet.
and it's like it's the veil that's put over people's faces. It's like comes with education first, and like that people need to know what's actually happening and realize that they don't need to still be living this way. Because I mean, they encounter it every day.
Yeah.
right.
But we're
Every
still
single
talking.
day.
We're still talking about what ought to happen.
What ought to, I know
You know,
exactly.
what I want to
like,
know though is what's going to happen.
What's gonna happen?
Are people going
I'm
to?
not a
you know,
psychic.
we're saying that people are
you
going
sure?
to have to stand up if we're going to get equal pay for women, or if we're going to close this gender gap.
Exactly.
People
Like,
are
I
going to
mean,
have to stand up and fight.
the
Now,
government's
question
not
is,
going to do it by itself.
Yeah.
Especially if it's supposed to be our government. Why?
Why would the government want any change? Because they got
Exactly.
elected. They got elected by the people the way things were.
Right.
Why would they want to change anything? 972-647-1893. Let me just pose this question to everybody in radio land. Is it going to get better? Are people going to stand up and fight? Or are people defeated? Are we going down in flames? 972-647-1893. We'll be right back. So right before the break, I asked, what's going to happen? Are people going to stand up and fight or not? 972-647-1893. 972-647-1893. Call and give us an answer because we're dying to know. 972-647-1893. Are people going to stand up and fight, or are we just going to keep circling the drain and go on down the toilet?
No.
I was asking Shelby Schramm that, but it's not fair to ask her, and I'll tell you why. Because her generation, the youth of today, are the first generation that we ever expected to do anything. Because during the 50s and 60s and 70s, people had it pretty easy. We could see things going bad, and we could see things were wrong. But the truth is, unemployment was always around 4%. Union people were getting 3% raises every year and getting improvements in their health care and improvements in their pensions every year. This went right on up until the mid-70s. And in the 1970s, by then, Europeans and Japanese had caught up with us, and we're starting to breathe down the necks of American industry, because American industry at the end of World War II was the only country in the world that hadn't been bombed flat. So Americans had it made. This was a golden age for America from 1945 up until about 1972. And after that, things began to get rough, but we didn't really have to do anything. Okay, Randy's on the line. Let's see what Randy says. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Was it after World War II that most of the European countries got health care for all their people?
Exactly. Yes, they did.
Maybe that's what it takes to get a country. Got to be bombed flat before they wake up to what the reality is.
At the end of World War II, there were very big workers' movements all over Europe, and that's how they got health care and everything. As the Nazis were driven back, who drove the Nazis back? Only the most committed worker advocates were the ones who had fought underground, and they were the ones who got elected and that sort of thing right after the war. So that's how they got national health care. Go ahead, Randy.
So their political leaders didn't do what our political leaders did by just supporting the union and making sure they had good health care after the war. They supported their whole workforce all the way down to minimum wage.
Well, don't forget there was a major fight to break the unions right after World War II here in the United States. Now, this didn't happen in Europe, but it did happen in the United States. This is what we call the anti-communist witch hunt, in which unions were expelled, union leaders were driven out, people were beaten up for being outspoken, and so the unions were tamed in the period 1947 to on into today. So the fight back from the unions didn't really revive until the 1990s. But go ahead, Randy. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. So here's my question. Nancy Reagan came out back in the 80s with that "just say no" thing about drugs.
Yeah.
Because,
and sex.
If you send your money, or if you're buying drugs, it goes to a drug lord. It kills a union worker in Brazil or whatever. Now, here's my thing. We need to use that "just say no," but it's just say no against companies that are treating their employees wrong.
Yeah.
Just say no when they don't give them 40 hours. Just say no when they don't give them maternity leave. Just say no when they don't have medical assistance from their company. And I mean by just say no is don't buy their product. We've seen in the past, and I know it's the evil word that nobody really wants to speak in America, boycott. I mean, if everybody in Dallas stopped shopping at a Walmart tomorrow, it still wouldn't put them out of business.
No, they just close the store and open another one.
Well, but it would get their attention.
Yeah.
Would it not?
There's a move underway. There's a move underway to boycott the products that the Koch brothers own.
Yep.
Of course, they make most of their money from oil, so you really can't do much about that. But they make Dixie cups and a few other things.
We can cut back on our consumption. We may not be able to not use it all, but we can get their attention. You guys got a good show. I'll hang up the list.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Randy.
I think we actually are getting their attention. The NLRB has ruled against them a couple of times, fined them some money. Customers are complaining because the shelves are empty. They don't have the products that they're used to finding there because they don't have the workers to do the work. So I think we are actually affecting the big WM.
Well, I certainly hope so. People a few years ago had a lot of hopes for a big lawsuit against Walmart, which was the largest class action lawsuit ever got together. Women were suing for the way they were treated at Walmart, and they got more women signed up than had ever been in any lawsuit ever. And then along came the lawyers, and they ruled that the class was not a legitimate class, that the women had no right to sue together.
That's right.
So Walmart won a great smashing victory against us, and the movement for equity for women on the job at Walmart was set back. It's not completely over because some of the women went right ahead
That's
and
right.
sued locally.
Individually. That's right.
Individually or locally or in smaller classes, and that's still dragging on. But the fact that the Supreme Court wouldn't let them sue as a class was a really big setback for the women's movement. And we've seen that over and over and over again. We used to fight for the ERA, Equal Rights Amendment, which was very simple. It just said illegal to discriminate against women. Yeah. It was civil rights for women.
And I mean, like, it gets put into, like, gets submitted to Congress every year, right?
Yeah,
and then
every
it
year.
just,
Yeah.
like, sits there.
And
Well,
then
it has
dies
to be-
on the vine
Yeah.
every year.
It has to be ratified. It's a
Exactly.
constitutional amendment, so
Exactly.
it has to be ratified by a certain number of states, and so they beat it in the states. So we never got the Equal Rights Amendment, and from that point forward, women's rights have suffered, have not gone forward. Do you think women will quit? Because
Conservative backlash behind that. Like, I mean, it's like, no.
That's
there's
right.
been a big, strong conservative backlash. It's true. But this same thing was true of the right to vote. You know, there were women during the Civil War who wanted the right to vote, and the right to have protection against getting pregnant.
Right.
I forgot what you call that.
Yeah, I can't.
Equal rights for
Like, what do you mean? Like,
Contraception.
contraception? Oh, okay.
Right for contraception.
Like,
Oh, you
This
mean like
was-
Hobby Lobby's doing now?
You could not get those women's rights, but they didn't give up. This went on, you know, for decades before women began to win and finally got the right to vote. When was that? About 1919?
I think so, yes, sir.
Somewhere right after World War I, I
19,
think, because during World War I, a lot of women got jobs. Well, once women have the ability to affect the economy, the more that they have the ability to affect the economy, the more likely they are to win their rights. Claude's online. Let's bring him on. Good morning. Thanks for calling KNON.
Hey there, Gene. How you and Bonnie?
Hey, good morning, Claude. How are you?
Good morning. I've got an interesting subject this morning.
We sure do.
I can tell you, I don't know one man that's worth more money than a woman in the workplace.
Is this
Let me-
Claude from the CWA?
That's
District
what
Director?
Jay said.
Oh, well. What's the CWA position on
I'm
equal rights for women?
Oh man, we're gonna have equal rights, equal pay, equal everything else.
Do you get that in your contracts?
Man, we get in our contracts if they get into a title and a man is in, they get the same pay, same benefits, and everything else.
So-
And that's the way it should be everywhere.
So one way that women can get equal rights today is join the Communication Workers
Join
of
a union,
America.
a former union. Get a union on the job. Get a union on the job. Hey, listen, just wanted to if I could just announce something else.
Sure.
Bonnie might have done it already, but I think Bonnie knows, of course, I think you do too, that we have in the Valley in front of the AT&T headquarters building this Wednesday.
The
And we sure wanna
retiree
invite-
benefits.
Right, over retiree benefits. And so we want to invite those that are listening to come out and participate in that. You know, my dad worked for AT&T for over 30 years. Wow. I started working in 1973. He started in the 50s. And, you know, one of the things that they promised, they meaning AT&T, all of us when we retired, is that they would take care of our benefits for us. This company is billions and billions and billions of dollars off of the backs of these retirees who are now having to, out of their pockets, spend just huge amounts of money on co-pays, benefits, and co-insurance.
Right.
And that is just not right. So So we're asking you to just come out and rally with us. I think we'll only be out there about an hour or so.
Yep.
But this is something that's really, truly affecting a lot of our members across the country. And we're asking for the community to come out and support us.
Brother Claude, will you be down there at the
I will be
AT&T
there.
Plaza?
I will be there. I'll be leading the charge, and I don't think there's another district around the country that is hosting something like this. But we do know that we have CWA members from across the country that are going to be coming down for it.
Yes.
And we're happy. We paid for buses. The retiree club is going to be paying for their lunches, so we're supporting them. It's not going to be any financial strain for the retirees to come, and we're excited about having this type of demonstration. I understand that the numbers are up around 700-800. It could be as many as 1,000.
That's right.
At the headquarters.
That's a big, gigantic demonstration for Dallas.
I'm telling you, every day I get more and more excited because more people are even on my Facebook saying, "Hey, can't wait to see you on Wednesday. Going to be great."
Right.
You know, it's funny because I talked to Ray earlier this week, and he says, it's amazing. Sometimes you can't get these seniors to even write a letter to Congress. He says, now we got buses, folks coming from Kansas City riding all night.
That's right. They're coming from Detroit. They're coming from all over the country.
Awesome.
Brother Claude, why are the bosses trying to hit the retirees? Do they think the retirees won't fight back?
I wish I had to answer that question, Gene. A company that has made as much money as AT&T and made it off the back of these retirees, you would think that they would have an open mind about first of all, negotiating at the table with, because that's my issue. Everybody's got problems with health care, right? I mean, I thank God for Obamacare, so we have people now in this country that can get health care. But my issue is the fact that at one time when we bargained for the active employees on the payroll, we could also have discussions, and I know the law says, once they're retired, we can't legally bargain for them, but we would always have discussions at the bargaining table about retiree health care, and through those discussions, we're able to work out something for them. Now the company is taking the position that they're not going to discuss retiree health care with us at all.
They're just going to take it.
When we bargain, they're just going to do what they want to do, and they make presentations to us, after they've decided what they're going to do when it's time to re-enroll again. And that's just not going to get it.
So retirees are going to have to stand up, and people that are for the right to retire.
Fight back. Right. They're going to have to stand up and fight back. And let me say this, and I'm going to have to get off the air. I'm getting ready to fly into Dallas right now. We lost a great labor leader this week in T.C. Gillespie out of the Fort Worth local. T.C. was responsible for getting a lot of elected officials in office in that part of the country. I know he worked so hard for Wenda Davis when she was in her Senate race there. And so we've lost a great labor leader. Yeah. I wish I had more time to talk to you guys, but I've got to catch a plane to go to his memorial service on the day. But God bless you, and I look forward to seeing both of you doing a great job on the radio. I'm so glad that CWA is a sponsor of this radio program because it brings such good information to the community. And just know if there's anything that we can do for you at any time, please call on.
Thank you.
You guys keep up the great work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
One other thing about it, right quickly. We are going to hopefully be announcing something on Yellow Pages in the next week or so. We're still fighting hard for the Yellow Page employees, Yellow Page members, and I'm fighting to get some additional stuff at the bargaining table. We might have some breakthroughs that we can announce next week. So take care and God bless.
Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. All right.
Speaking of top labor leaders who are doing a great deal for people.
Yes.
Let's get back to Shelby Schramm and the question of equal pay for women. Shelby, what else you got? What other things would you like to make sure we cover while we're talking about rights for women?
Well, I mean, we brought up the topic of contraception earlier, and like the abortion rights issues that we have here in Texas. The Fifth Circuit holding up the state's mandate that they have to be CPCs.
What CPCs?
Or they are,
what is it?
Dang acronyms. They have to be certified ambulatory surgical centers to perform abortions, and it affects mostly working class women. Period.
In rural areas mostly.
Yeah, in rural areas.
Because the doctors now have to have admitting rights to a hospital within 50 miles. And
Well, they say they're doing this to protect women.
yeah, sure they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel protected?
Definitely not.
Okay,
You're not
good.
going to have any clinics west of I-35.
That's right.
And there's only going to be 5 left.
That's
out of
right.
the 26.
Yep, out of
So-
26. That's right. It's really sad. I do want to mention, they talked about it last hour on Reverend Barnett's show about the Take Down the Takeover rally, which is the 26th at 10 a.m. at City Hall. We're going to talk some more about that next week. We've talked about it the last couple of weeks, the home rule baloney.
That's a women's issue too, you know?
Yes!
How much money you make, where you can live, and what schools your children are going to.
There you go. And if
about
your
it.
kid, if we don't like your kid, guess what? We can throw him out of school, and you have no rights
Because it's private.
because it's private. That's right. Crazy.
Crazy things are going on against women. There's no question about it. The question really that didn't get answered in this program is whether or not people are going to fight back.
Ooh, I hope so.
I think they will.
I hope
and
so.
I'll tell you why. Because
have to.
historically they did.
Yep.
Historically, women took tremendous setbacks over the right to vote and over the right for contraception. There were women put in jail. You know, that were put in jail for speaking up for these things.
Beaten.
You're talking
raped.
about women in every movement as well. Women have always been at the forefront of every movement. Maybe not reported on it, but they've been there. They've been there supporting it.
My gosh, yeah, look at Mother Jones, my hero. I loved her. She
Mother
was
Jones
just
is your
awesome.
hero?
She was a hellion. Man,
She was.
I like it. All the way into her 80s, she was a hellion.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. I hope
We'll be
I can be
celebrating
that.
her birthday on May the 1st.
That's right.
That's her. She died on May the 1st, and she was born on May the 1st. And so Mother Jones will be celebrated again. Lots of stuff coming up on May the 1st.
Yeah,
Yep.
May Day. Woo!
Workers' Memorial Day is the 28th. We will have a program at the Union Hall, a short program at the Union Hall. So I'll get back with you with more details on that. Rosemarie Rieger and I are working on that.
Okay, I'll be gone next week. Bonnie will be here with her guest if she has one.
I
Maybe-
probably
maybe-
will.
And we thank you so much for being with us, Shelby Schramm.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
We need people to stand up for women like you have. We'll be back next week, and thank you for listening.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.